Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to give you a sneak peek, a preview into our weekly masterminds. I know a lot of agents who reach out to us, who's looking to partner with us at eXp Realty always ask, what kind of support do you provide? And they end up being, even if they're part of another brokerage and they're not willing to leave or they're not looking to leave, and they hire us to do marketing consultation, and they end up asking a lot of questions after that. I want to stay in touch, and I tell them, hey, are you sure you don't want to be connected to us more often and be part of our weekly mastermind calls? And this is just a sneak peek to show you what are the type of training and support we give you. We're every single Monday, I run a mastermind call for all of our agents in our downline, in our revenue share organization at eXp Realty. And in these calls, we used to do them as a mastermind call. Every week, I came up with a topic to do with real estate marketing, or I brought in a guest. And I felt that a lot of agents wanted more time to digest them and take in the content and implement. So at the beginning of this year in 2024, I turned it into a weekly check-in call, more like my office hours. So every week I'm committed to, because I know there are a lot of people that sponsor agents and bring in agent people to the company, and they don't spend a lot of time with them. And I'm here as a professional, as a leader, to help support your business, and I want to be available for you. So I blocked off time in my schedule every week where I was available on Zoom, and you can come in, and we ran some surveys. I started to hear feedback from my agents where they wanted to be more involved. They wanted to hear more topics, more masterminds. So this year, just recently, a couple of weeks ago, we reverted our call back to every other week. We're going to have a weekly mastermind and then a week to check in, to ask questions, so that we can take in that training we just did the week prior and apply it to our business. So you're going to get a little sneak peek of our last call literally this week on Monday, the time of recording this in 2024 of August. We brought in a five-time ICON agent Melissa Hudson. She's actually a team lead with one of my agent, Jacob Sharman. They both are in a group together in Texas on a team at eXp. And we got the privilege of bringing her into the call because with the whole NAR settlement and there's a lot of certainty with the market, we wanted to bring someone on who had a consistent business as a top producer. We wanted to look at her journey. We wanted to be able to ask her questions. And not all of our calls are like this. And I'll give you a sneak peek of some of my trainings where I bring in my own slideshows and I do my own training. So I'll show that to you as well. But I can't wait to show you in a moment. I'm going to start to play this recording, this mastermind, and you can see how involved we were of bringing some of our agents into the call who were part of the mastermind call. We were allowed them to ask questions, and I got a chance to ask Melissa some questions to bring out all of her experiences to light. And you get to learn with us in the process. And this is to give you just a preview of what it's like to work with us. And for those of you that don't know me, by the way, my name is Tharmila Rajasingam. I'm a real estate marketer with the eXp Realty Brokerage. And if you're looking to work with me, partner with me at eXp Realty, I highly recommend you click that link in the description below and book a call, because I can answer any questions you have. But I highly recommend you do your research to make sure you find the right sponsor that is the right fit for you. Remember, they're your team, they're your business partner, they're help to elevate your business. So make sure you find the right one. And majority of my agents, I'm at 74 agents right now at the time of recording this call. They're in the States. And that's why I love about this company is that I get to work with agents in my hometown in Toronto, to my province in Ontario, to Canada wide. And more importantly, 80% of my agents are in the United States of America, in the US, and which is beautiful because every agent, we get to connect with them and work with them regardless of state, country, province, border. We're a borderless brokerage for a cloud-based virtual brokerage, and we get to help you grow your business. And as a marketing specialist, as a consultant who worked in this business for over a decade, and now and becoming a real estate investor, and now a full-time real estate agent, growing my business, and I get to bring all my lessons and all of my learning to you as well, and we get to learn and grow together. So I can't wait. Stay tuned. I'm just going to quickly play this mastermind call. Take it in, enjoy, and I can't wait to have you in our group and join our group and ask questions and get involved. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. So stay tuned. I'll share the video and enjoy this sneak peek of the mastermind call we just recently had on Monday.
And I was struggling a lot financially, and I thought there has to be something better. And I was really contemplating quitting. And my mom was like, "What are you doing? Like, you've been consistent. You have a little retirement, with your government job." And I thought, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to, barely make the bills. And so the partner who I was with at the time was like, just get your real estate license. I ended up going to get my license online. I ended up going through depression, and I was right about to be fired, but I said, I'm going to quit my job because I am not going to be fired. And so I left and I bet on myself. And just to be transparent and honest with you guys, I did go through some depression. It took me longer to complete my real estate courses than I thought it would. And but I came out of that and I just went right into it. I'm born and raised in Austin, so I just started calling all of my friends in East Austin. Do your parents need to sell a home? Are you looking to buy a home? And my business was built on first time buyers. So low budget buyers, okay, not really high commission checks. So for me and my mindset, I was like, I have to make so many units to um, have the lifestyle that I want, to pay the bills and then like take vacations and have this, thriving real estate career, right? At the time, I was new, I was with a different broker, and I ended up joining a team. And I recognized right away that the way that they structured the team was you had the rainmaker, right? The rainmaker took ownership of sales of the team. So the way it was reported in MLS and on records, it's like this team lead made all these deals, but it really was the buyer's agents, right? For me at the time, I was like, you know what? I kind of want ownership of my own. I want my name on everything. So I did something very unconventional and I wouldn't recommend it. At the time, I'm like, man, I should have just did it that way the team lead had it. But I took a commission split from the broker and I took a commission split from the team lead, which I didn't have to do. But the reason why I did that was because I wanted to own my numbers. It was more important to me to have ownership of my work than to make more commission. And that pushed me to double and sometimes triple my sales per month. So whereas one agent was closing like 2 deals a month, I was doing like 4 and 6. And this is back in the Zillow days, early Zillow days, but it was not uncommon for me to close 4 to 8 deals a month because I wanted to own my own numbers. And at the time, I just relied on the resources of the team. And like this is back in the beginning when Zillow was like you could buy the leads and they were pumping. And we were doing short sale, foreclosure, and regular Zillow leads. So, now fast forward to today's time, there's all sorts of different ways and free ways to get leads. And I'm sure, things evolved for that agent and that team lead. But I ended up leaving that team because a friend of mine who was a fellow buyer's agent said, hey, we're doing pretty well. I bet you we could do this on our own. And I ended up getting introduced to eXp kind of in a roundabout way. And that was in 2015. I think I'm agent 689 or something like that with eXp in the state of Texas and no, company wide 800. Texas, I think I'm 50. So company wide, I think it's forgive me if it's 689 or 869, but eXp Realty. And then with Texas, in Austin, I was agent 50. So my when you look at the rev share upline, I'm just like 2 or 3 away from Glenn, which is crazy to me. So
Wow,
anyway,
that's
all
cool.
of that. It's kind of weird, right? I showed Jacob the other day. I was like, this is kind of neat, right? But y'all, like seriously, the success did not happen overnight, but I was very intentional with how I did it, right? And a lot of it was just I was like, okay, I mean, this is my budget and this is what I have to do. So before eXp or before real estate, I was in state government, and then I was 2.5 years with a different broker, and then I've been with eXp since 2015, and then I can explain the rest later. But that answers that question. I'm sorry, it's long-winded. Talk a lot.
No,
Sorry.
I love it. And did you get into real estate full time, like when you were with that broker at the beginning? Because I know there are a lot of newer agents in here. You're in your first two years. I have some agents are in the 3 to 5 year range. So I love to hear about that because one thing I want people to take away from calls like this, and I know Jacob and I talk about this a lot, is when people come into calls like this, when you bring on a 5-time ICON agent, we compare our chapter 1 to your chapter 20, and that is unfair for anyone to do. And yeah, we want to hear about your mindset today, but I love to hear about the growth phase, that the
Yeah.
discipline, but the work ethic, but like what was happening in that period? I want people to kind of get a realistic look at.
Yeah, so to answer your question, I did work other jobs, and that was because I had to pay bills. So I always say, um, a lot of realtors in different phases of success will say, you got to go full time 100% real estate. Not necessarily, like you need to pay your bills, and you can't be stressing about the light bill if and focus on real estate in the fashion that you need to if you're not paying your bills. So there is a world in which you can have maybe one or two part-time jobs and still do real estate with a good schedule, right? So you basically schedule out when you're doing showings, when you're having listing appointments. Don't not work. um you can do both, is what I'm saying. You can do both. There will become a time when you don't need that part-time job. I personally worked a part-time job. I worked at the Home Depot. I worked at a department store. Remember, I had quit my state guaranteed government job with a guaranteed paycheck once a month to go into real estate. And so, yeah, I pulled whatever little retirement was out of there and I used that. And that's not conventional, right? A lot of people are like, oh, you never touch your retirement. But listen, I had two kids. I had no business in the beginning. So I was like, okay, I'm going to use that money to jumpstart my business. But a lot of times that money went just to bills. So I didn't really get to integrate it into my business. So I had to work 1 to 2 jobs part time until I built my business. I was super lucky to get a listing agreement from a friend who trusted me. And I sold her East Austin home, which is probably worth 4 times it is today. But yes, like the the one thing I took from a real estate coach from my previous broker was like, you have to ask for the business, right? And so I learned that really on that you have to ask for the business. You of course need to tell people you're in real estate, don't be an undercover agent, but at the end of the day, are you really asking for the business? And I had to humble myself, right? It's like, okay, hey, I heard you might need to sell your house. Did you know I'm a realtor? Yes, I'm new, but asking for the business. So my trajectory in the beginning was, yes, I did work part-time until I had enough business to not have to work those jobs. And in the beginning, I did a lot of leases, and those leases actually fed me. And I do have an interesting story on how the leases helped me this last year. But I worked leases and I worked part-time at a department store, Home Depot, and then I worked, the listings and the buyers that I could. But I really dove into, in the beginning of my business, first-time buyers. The first-time buyers are, they are the reason that I was able to grow my business in this second half of my real estate career, because those buyers became sellers in a really good time in the market in the Austin area. And so me being an ICON agent and having that sustainable transactions throughout the last, 3, 4, 5 years, I attribute to those first-time home buyers in the beginning. And they were not always the easiest to work with, and it was a lot of work, but it paid off like years later. So you can actually be intentional on what you're doing in the beginning of your business, in keeping in mind that it'll feed you in a different way via referrals or in a different transaction way in the future, because they either sold their house and bought a new house, or a family member needed to buy or sell. So being like really intentional in the beginning and thinking, okay, it's not just a one-time transaction. Like I think I heard someone say once that one lead should be you should get more than one transaction out of one lead. Like, and it's not going to happen like in the 1 or 2 years. It may happen for me. It was like in 4 years for a lot of them. Like just the thought of it. 4 years later, I was tripling my business from a first-time buyer that bought a house for 160,000 in Austin, Texas in 2015, 2013, 2012. So
Yeah,
yeah.
no, my one of my first clients, I just recently closed a deal with him. So he sold his property at the time. And so I truly believe in the concept of, building a business from the ground up and making sure you're connected to everything. For you, Melissa, you said your focus was first time home buyers, and now you consider yourself a listing agent, and you do a lot of listing. And Jacob and I were talking about, we have a mutual client, and she keeps telling us, I want listings. All I care about is listing. I don't care about buyers. And we keep telling her, no, you don't just dismiss a whole slew of business that is interconnected. You don't do that. You can focus and find your niche, but you still have to work around your the clients that you have. And when did you make that transition, and what did that look for you? Like, how does one become a listing agent? What does that even what does that mean?
So, I agree with what you say, because if you guys think about it, a seller is actually a buyer too, right? So I think that's why there's a lot of focus on sellers. It's because you can get two transactions out of one, but also keep in mind that not every seller is going to be a buyer. So you really have to be like, okay, that first conversation you're having with the seller, are you looking to buy somewhere else? Guess what? I have a great network. We run across the United States and Canada and all these countries. We're actually worldwide. So keep in mind when you're talking with a seller that you ask them what their plan is. I do think that's why a lot of agents focus on sellers, because they can get the two transactions potentially. How I became a listing agent or listing heavy was it actually had a lot to do with the life change that I had. I was, ending one relationship, and I had raised my kids and started real estate in a totally different part of the city, and I don't know who's on the call. They're from Canada or United States, but, it's basically a small suburb type city outside of Austin in Northwest Austin called Cedar Park. And I lived there for 13 years because my kids were in school and they graduated. And, that relationship at that time had taken its course, and I was selling that house, and I was going to move into a different part of the city. And at the time, most of my business was in Maynard, Texas, where I live now, which is east of downtown. We're like, I don't know, 12 minutes from downtown here. And when I moved over here, it was because a lot of my first time buyers that I put in homes lived in this area or close to this area. So I ended up buying a house over here, and I was like, okay, I got into this neighborhood, and the lady that sold me the house that I bought at the time, that realtor, I recognized right away. I recognized right away that she knew everybody and that she was on the school board. And I didn't, just because I sold homes in this area a lot, I didn't really know anybody. And it was a very small town vibe, right? So it was like, okay, everybody's going to know the business. They're going to know who I am. And, you know, um, I would like them to know I'm a realtor, but I don't know anybody. Am I going to door knock? Am I going to send mailers? Like, what am I going to do? Right. I knew I'd sold a lot of houses. I mean, help buyers purchase over here. So that particular connection. So I would really think in your mind right now, who are your connections in the area that you live in, whether it be school boards, elected officials. Maybe there's a lady in the neighborhood that, she knows all the moms, or what have you. So I knew right away this listing agent knew everybody. She told me she's on the school board, and I thought, I'm going to become really good friends with her. Like, right. I ended up really becoming good friends with her, but I told her, who do I need to know? And so I took in mind what my real estate coach said to me years ago, asked for the business. And I'm like, we're competing. She lives in the same neighborhood. But in my mind, I'm like, I'm just going to ask her, who do I need to know? And she's like, don't worry, I'll introduce you to everybody. And that fed to her ego, because she was like, she's top dog, right? Everybody knew her name. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to attach myself to this lady. And I'll tell you what, she introduced me to everybody, right?
Wow.
So that was like, for me, aha light bulb moment, right? I'm going to get to meet all the important people, the chief of police, people on the school board, people on the city council. So I try to use my resources in that way. And I had an idea. I'm like, well, how do I get my name known? Because I want to list houses in this neighborhood and in the city. So at the time, my budget really wasn't big. I had bought that house, and I was like, okay, let me do these coffee meets, right? They were building a Starbucks down the street. They had built a Mexican restaurant down the street. You have to understand, this town is really little, but we are butt up against a major metropolitan area, but nobody leaves Maynard. You either live in Austin or Maynard, and there's really not a whole lot going on in Maynard commercial wise until recently. So I just said, okay, I'm gonna once a month, we're gonna meet at this Mexican restaurant. I'm gonna pay for the coffee. Y'all, I have never paid more than $25 for coffee at these meets.
Oh, wow.
So these meats cost me $25, and that was the most people I had. And at the Mexican restaurant, they could order their tacos or breakfast tacos. They paid for their food. I paid for their coffee. I would have like little, gift prizes, like throw your name in here. You know, and it would, you know, it was nominal. It's like $10 gift card to the Mexican restaurant or to the Starbucks or to wherever. So I never really paid more than like 40, 50 bucks for anything on meat. And it wasn't like there was no rules, right? Everybody could come, they could talk. The intention of that, Tharmila, was just so they could see my face, right? I was gonna, and I had told Jacob this before, I wanted them to be so sick of seeing my face that they just knew they had to call me for real estate. They're gonna see me at the coffee meet. I made a closed Facebook group, coffee meet. I made I connected with someone doing some type of farming, and we can get into the farming thing because you're asking about how I became a listing agent or listing heavy. I just happened to get in on this beta testing thing with this title representative, and she says, you know, all you need is a domain name. We'll connect you to this particular service that these people are that really they're trying to buy a realtor's business by saying, hey, we're going to give you this landing page. And this landing page is just going to have stats of the city you live in, right? I wanted people sick of seeing my face. So I had coffee meet. I have my names on real estate signs. There's a local paper that I would pay like $60 every 3 months to have my face in there. And then the Live in Manor, which I've told Jacob about this before, and it was a little unconventional, but I was like, how do I get people to call me? So I bought into this beta system. It's $40 a month. It still costs me $40 a month. Okay. I got the sign writers. You guys know what sign writers are, right?
Yeah.
They go on the top, for sale, pending, sold. Okay. liveinmanor.com was that website. I don't even do anything on it. It's just my face at the very bottom. This, you know, Farm Genie people, they just put the stats there. I got the sign writers and then I got the H stakes and I put the sign writers on the little H stakes. And I probably ordered like 200 of them and I put them in the entrances of every neighborhood, on the corner where every gas station is, at the church, at the Walmart. And I mean, you know, they threw them away. They cost me, you know, maybe $1.25 each. Like, you know, I just wanted people to go to that website. And y'all, nowadays I would do a QR code, but everybody was like hitting that website, lead, you know, what's my home value? Tell me more. Like, I made the website name to not be like Realtor Melissa, call me. You know, it was liveinmanor.com. Like, oh, you know, and I just sensationalized it to where they thought maybe it was a city government website or something, but it got me a ton of leads. And then I shifted all those leads into our systems with eXp Realty, which is KV Core. And I put all those people on drip. And I mean, I can't tell you how many. I'm pretty sure it was probably close to 1,000. I know that's a lot, but you know, not all of them, you know, became instant overnight hot leads, but a lot of them did, and a lot of them were sellers, and I've sold their house in this neighborhood and in Manor. So it was a little bit of like traditional farming with a little bit of the tech. And then I built a good relationship with my title rep, and she was able to give me, you know, the names and the addresses of people who have a certain amount of equity in their home. So they were getting snail mail from me once a quarter. They were seeing my website on every corner. They were seeing my names on signs. They were seeing me at the coffee meet. They were seeing me at the city council meetings, sitting there. Like, I didn't even know what was going on, but they saw my face. You know, they're seeing me in the little newspaper, the free newspaper you get at the gas station. So I really pushed just having my face out there and everywhere. That was really, really what did it for me, listing wise.
Wow,
Can you
honestly,
talk?
Melissa, yes, sorry, Jacob, go ahead.
No, great. One thing that I love that you talked about when we did our podcast was about what you did for your neighborhood as a part of the farming. Can you go into that? And then two, one thing I want to point out too, that I wanted to point out earlier was when she said, ask for the business, most of us don't ask for the business. Most of us put everybody on a drip campaign and we hope KV Core is going to ask for the business. So one thing I want to know, and I hope I get the right answer, but when those leads came in, did you wait for KV Core to convert them, or did you actually pick up the phone for the ones that you
No.
had number with and call them?
I just did an Excel transfer from that website into KV Core, and then I called them. And
that's what
so I did call them, and you know, it was very, look, they're not going to always answer the phone, guys. So just make sure that before you call any of the leads, however you get the lead, make sure you have already ready a copy and paste of a standard text that you're going to send them. And it was that. And the phone call, if they answered, was super basic. Hi, you know, my name's Melissa Hudson. I'm a realtor in the Manor area. Hey, thanks so much for clicking on my website and putting your information in. See that you asked about your home value. What's going to be sent to you is going to be super basic, but here is my calendar link. You can, you know, go here, schedule with me. I can do a more in-depth market analysis on your home. Or if this is just because you're curious and that works for you, fine. And not just leave it at that. Look, I'm here to answer any questions. And this is one thing that I love to say to people. I'm here to help. I'm here to help. I always either start or end my call with, I'm here to help. I wanted them to think about me in that sense, like of contribution. I didn't want to have like commission breath, right? I don't want them to be like, oh,
Right.
she's commission. I really am very, and I genuinely am like that, right? Of course, we all like sales. Nope, I mean, right?
Right.
But I genuinely am that person. And I hope that it was conveyed over the phone, and I feel like it was. So, and then if they didn't answer, it was a really quick text. Hey, so-and-so, because remember, I have their first and last name. I have everything, really. Hey, you know, Jacob, thanks. Hey, thanks so much for coming to my website and taking a look at it. I've been working really hard on this website. I hope you like it. I hope you find it valuable. If I can answer any questions about anything real estate related, give me a call. If you know anybody else, give them my name. I would love to help. I'm here to help. Thanks, Melissa. Here's my phone number, da, da, da. Like, yes, you do ask for the business and you do make the calls. I don't know how many of you guys are doing internet leads, but it's like some crazy, you know, conversion ratio. I was trained early on when I was on that real estate team as a buyer's agent, because we were in a big room and everybody was at their computer and it was a round robin. So when the phone would ring, it would ring that lead. So I was, the mindset early on was like, how fast can I answer the phone to talk to this person? Because they're going to click on another link and then we'll just lose them forever. So you got to think of KV Core in that sense. Like if you're at the restaurant with your mom or you're shopping for shoes, like, one moment, I need to make a really quick phone call. It's not uncommon for me to do that. I do think realtors need to have boundaries, but if you're starting off in the business, you know, put your apples down at the grocery store, step aside and make the phone call and be quick about it, and, you know, be polite and be of service and see what you can do to help that person.
Especially in today's time, because if somebody's on the internet searching for a realtor, they're just going to go to the next person that's going to answer the phone. So you only have 3 to 5 minutes really to get them. So I think that's super important. But can you touch, like, as part of your farming? Because I think this is one of the genius things I do, because I tend to think this way. And so I love that you did this. And it's super simple, is how you did your neighborhood when you realized you couldn't post in the HOA. So you're like, well, screw that, I'm gonna do my own thing. And you get business from that. It's so crazy. And then you have your sign that says your local neighborhood realtor lives here. Like, just little things. I think people don't really think, like, some of the old traditional things that you could still put with the modern that actually still work.
Yeah.
I love that.
So what I did, guys, was the HOA had a closed Facebook group, and I tried to post on there once, and they're like, these are the rules. You can't do that. I'm like, oh man. So I was like, well, who makes these rules? Let me make my own rules. I created my own the neighborhood I live in is called Shadow Glen. So you have Shadow Glen. And so I got crafty and I made my own Facebook group called Shadow Glen Neighborhood News. So anybody who moves to this neighborhood, which by the way are thousands of people, first thing they do is they go and they're like, oh, there's two, let me join both. And so when they get to my page, they're getting neighborhood stats, they're getting my face. Sometimes I'll record in there. But what I started to do was like, and this is, I'm telling y'all, super low budget, right? At the time when I first started this, I just wanted to be able to post anything I wanted real estate related, and not just real estate related, just any kind of information I could give them. So at the time I went and got some pumpkins on sale. This was around Halloween time. I went and bought pumpkins and I did pumpkin carving contests, and I called the HOA lady. I was like, hey, can I drop these pumpkins off at the community center or at the amenity center with little tags on them that had my name with a little $1 carving kit from the Dollar Tree store. And she let me do that. And I've done like just random things, but in there, they're going to get all the information about me, right? They're going to get information about what's going on in Maynard, anything I want them to know about me. It's me, but not really. It's about neighborhood, but it's no rules. And I was able to do that. And that didn't cost me anything. I mean, the pumpkins did. And they know, right? They know to call me now. And you just, again, that was one more way that I could get my face in front of them. Where it was name face recognition. I used to do a magnet on my car too. At the time I had a specific branding. So it was the same picture and the same kind of thing. And so now it's transitioned out with different branding. But if you live in a neighborhood and you're trying to farm it, make your own page and do what you want on it. And you don't have to ask anybody for permission. You can have a contest. You can be like, hey, like the one I just did last week was for teachers because school's starting out here this month. And I just went to the grocery store and got a basket. I got a basket and put a bunch of school supplies in there. And I said, hey, click on this link. And it's just a Google Doc link. Put your information here, the school you're at, the grade you teach, your name, your phone number, your email to enter to win this basket, right? Y'all, that basket the basket altogether probably cost me about $50. So $50 worth of school supplies. And that's just another way to say, okay, this is my name, this is my face, and this is what I want to do to help the community. So that's very traditional farming, I think.
Right.
Absolutely.
And what I love too about that is I have agents that have come in and say, hey, I don't have $300, $400, $500 a month that I can do every month for Facebook ads, Google ads, any of these things. These little things that you do every now and then, like an event that you could put $100 to, or do a giveaway, or all these things. Especially if you get local businesses involved, they're going to share your stuff anyways because they want people to come spend money there and get your gift card. If you guys just learn to think outside the box like she did, that, I'm a mom, I don't have a big budget, I still got to feed my kids. She didn't let that stop her. And I think that's one of the most powerful things I think I've heard in her story. Is the first thing she said is, I just bet on myself. And a lot of us, we get into this, but we were afraid to bet on ourselves. She emptied out her, 401k. Like, that's something I do all the time. Like, oh, if I get successful, I'll just replace that later. I need the money now. So it's either my dreams or just be comfortable the rest of my life. So I think that's super important. I love that you talked about that. So I know you had a question, Tharmila, too.
Yeah, no, for those of you that are listening, to me, I'm always listening to, your story in a way that I can obviously implement it for my life because everyone's market is different. And I was even just, there's 150,000, correct me if I'm wrong, in Texas, 1,000 agents, right? And then I don't know about your Pacific area in Austin, but like when you're in a massive area where there's just so much competition, the way you apply things, and some of you may not be in a little community like Melissa was where you can farm. Like, I can't farm Toronto. It doesn't work like that. I'm in a metropolitan major city with 2.7 million people, but at this end of the day, one of the things that I want you to think of is, when, for example, my children, when they were crawling, and they were starting to walk, somebody said, Tharmila, crawl from from your door around the whole house and pretend like what you would hit on, like, because you have to get down to that level and see what your children would bump into so that you can safe and childproof the property. And I'm like, that's so smart. I'm thinking from here as an adult looking down at my child being like, what are they going to bump into? But I would never know that vision, that perspective. So think of it, same thing with Melissa. Think of it like your client. If you were to go for a walk to the grocery store, to the gym, walk and think like a client, not like a realtor. So what can you put in place in that process? So I think everything Melissa was saying was traditional marketing. Yes, if you want to put a label on a marketing, but she was doing everything and she's there where people are, where people were living. So we are always thinking like as a realtor, okay, well, I can't speak like that. Maybe they won't like it if I come off strong like that. No, but because you're thinking from a realtor perspective of selling yourself. What if you truly approach it from a perspective of, how could I be available as much as I can to help these people? Where do I need to be so they can see me and know that I'm truly here to help people? And that's what I got out of your story, Melissa. And that transition to me, yes, to me, honestly, you said like a list of tactics that touches everything from print to, you touched on farming, lots of traditional farming concepts, to in-person meet. You touched on everything. So I can't sit here and be like, oh, the coffee worked for sure. Oh, the landing page is what worked. No, I
All
think it's your, it's, and above all, I don't know about you guys. I've been in so many calls, hundreds of calls, and I've seen people speak. And the people, that 1%, that 2% that are icon agents that are crushing it, their work ethic is they pivot, but they're consistent in constantly focusing on what work, and they're doing a lot. You notice that, guys? They're doing a lot. That means, yes, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like, life gets easier when you do hard things all the time. And that's what Melissa does, a lot of hard things. And so now what you can do in your market is, where do I need to be and what can I afford? Because Melissa's like, hey, I'm at the time, I'm a young mom. I just left my job. I have all these things. I can't afford it. So I can't just run into paying for Facebook ads and Google ads. And heck, I don't even know how that runs. So what, I'm going to do the things that are in my access. So speaking about that, I want to ask you a question, Melissa. One of the things I've noticed about you is that a lot of what you mentioned wasn't very techy, and we're part of a tech company. I teach people how to use KV Core. We like to really complicate things so that it's harder for people to ever do anything. But you make things very simple. You did things that are really simple, that is the hardest thing for people. Ask for your business. What?
Yeah,
What do you mean? Like, right? Like, and Jacob always tells me you're furthest from technology in terms of, your comfort level. So can you tell us, like, what else tools were you using so that everyone can see how non-tech savvy you are?
yeah. I really, it's just crazy. It was just like divine intervention when I had this. At the time, it was called the Farm Genie. That was my tech thing back then. Even though I was at the eXp Realty and I had these vast tech tools, I feel like saying yes to that beta changed a lot for my business farming related. So the tech things I used from back then was obviously KV Core. You guys, if you're curious about the company, it was called the Farm Genie. It's now called the Genie AI. I'm not a walking commercial for them. I just know that they host that website for $40 a month. And if you want to look at what the website looks like, you can look in live in Manor, MANOR.com, and you can see the most expensive thing I've ever done with that website was I paid a videographer to do pan over of the little town that I live in. But y'all, when I first joined eXp, I took advantage of the Squeeze marketing tools for the Facebook. And here in Texas, you like, if I wanted to showcase a specific house, I would have to call that agent and be like, and trust me, I didn't have all the listings in the neighborhood back then. So if someone had a dynamic house for sale in this neighborhood, I'd be like, hey, agent, I love your house. Can I find a buyer? Do you mind if I post this property on Facebook? Of course not, Melissa. Go ahead, post it. But if I wanted to do houses in my neighborhood with pools, that link, that squeeze link, I don't need to get permission from everybody. I can just say all homes for sale in Manor or in Shadow Glen with pools under 400,000. So in the beginning, of course, you see ads everywhere today, but back then it was really cool to see to get those clicks, right? So my tech knowledge back then was homes for sale in Austin under 350 with pools. You have no idea how many people click on that when you're in a state or an area where it's really hot. Those were my best clicks in the summer. Homes with pools under a certain amount of money in this city. So to your point, and I took note of that, Tharmila, when you mentioned you live in this big city, you don't know what to farm. So I would just say pick a neighborhood. So in the city, there's always going to be a little neighborhood. Maybe you've sold a couple houses there, or maybe it's a good vibe, or maybe it's fun, or maybe that's a demographic you like. Just pick that neighborhood. And I don't care if anybody else is farming it. They can't have everything. Have you ever seen anybody shove a whole pizza in their mouth? No, they have to pick a slice and put that slice in their mouth. So no, not one agent can stick a whole pizza in their mouth. So if you like a neighborhood, farm that neighborhood. If you're in a big metro area, find a small neighborhood that you vibe with and pick it and farm it. It does help when you live in the neighborhood. Now, yes, I live in a smaller town, but I'm like right here in the major metro area of the city of Austin where I lived my whole life. So it does pay for me to know other areas. I do work other areas, but I was real specific about farming where I lived and the smaller area. And I never understood what niche meant until then. Here are my tools. I'm using KV Core. I take leads from Live in Manor. Actually found a box of those old sign writers the other day, and I'm going to put them on H stakes and put them out again because I paid for them years ago. So if they get thrown away, I don't care. But I can, get some influx of leads. But those two websites, and then with KB Core, I did a long time ago pay an agent to create a really cool drip campaign. But that's something I'm sure that you guys can help, your realtors with, your leads. I mean, your agents with. And honestly, guys, that's the extent of what I do. I have paid in the past for someone to create specific Facebook ads for me, and they can get really expensive. But honestly, I don't feel like there was anything revolutionary about those. And the other tech tool I use is because I'm listing heavy, I'm able to do a lot of property boost through KV Core. And last week I got 6 leads off of one property in 2 days. And I could, and that house is really nice. By the way, it's under contract now in 2 days. Never happens. But I did a $65 boost on that property. I got 6 leads in 2 days, and 2 came one day and 4 came on Saturday. And those 4 leads came in so fast I knew I was gonna be able to work them. And so I actually gave 2 or 3 of those leads away because I knew I could only call those other 2, and that one they called, and I was like, I'm not going to lose a lead. So yes, you'll get to a point in your real estate career where you're like, you never want to lose a lead, even that means you get a referral off of it. And I happen to have 3 mentees and someone in my rep share downline that lives in this neighborhood that I felt could have benefited from those leads, and I knew that they were hungry enough to call those leads right away. And so I physically did not, at the time, I had something going on Saturday. I was like, there's no way I'm going to call these leads. So guys, yes, you'll get to that point one day. If you're not already there, if you are, you're a badass. But I don't know. Can I cuss on here? Sorry.
That's fine.
Bleep me. Sorry. That's all, guys. That's the only tech I'm using. I'm doing just a lot of face-to-face traditional farming, and the extent of my tech is going to be KB Core and boosting. That's what I'm doing right now, tech-wise.
I think what works for you is everybody's scared to, even in my marketing business a while back, I wanted to take any website that I could get in. I didn't care what industry. But what's really crazy is that you weren't afraid to niche down into a small area, because a lot of us get this fear that, oh, maybe it's too small and I won't get any business. But yet most of these agents have no business. So who cares? Maybe that small area will only give you a couple deals, but at least you niche down far enough. And most people know, like, oh, if you're in Manor, I know you could do, Elgin or whatever. So they're going to know that you do the next community over or whatever, or they'll call and ask. But I think a lot of us are too scared to niche down too much, because what's the saying? Like, I know Tharmila and I have said this all the time. The rule is, like, if you niche down, you didn't niche down enough. Do it again and again. And you knew when you first started, first-time home buyers, but the first-time home buyers led into listings, and you weren't afraid to take leases. You're still not afraid to take leases, which you got to talk
tell
about
the story about that. You guys are crazy.
Yeah. So I love just that you just pivot, you take business. And then if you get too much business, instead of you ruining the relationship with those leads that you came in and not be able to get to them, you said, hey, I'm going to refer them out. I'll take a referral fee. That's the best business, to get 25, 30% off a referral fee, or you pass it to somebody in your downline and you're still making money. You're helping them, because especially if they're in your downline, they're going to have, all those referrals from there. So I just love how you're just constantly pivot. You work with what comes, and you have a plan, but I think knowing working with you is that you have here's my parameters, and then you kind of just go with the flow and just take stuff as it comes. And I think that's super powerful, because some of us don't know how to pivot and go, okay, I started this way, but now I can see opportunity over here. So let me go this way. So
But
I
Jacob,
just
if
think this
pivoting
so
is
good.
one thing, like pivoting is when you see an opportunity and you're able to change your business, but what you're doing really is you're implementing, you're constantly implementing.
Correct.
Like you can pivot and keep it in here and be like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. But what I love about you take action. Like you just,
Action.
yeah, and the things are happening, and that's the most important part. And one thing I wanted to say, Melissa, too, is with what Melissa said that I hope you all caught on is internet leads. Anyone that is a cold lead that is coming from you, have no idea who you are, clicked on a random ad, they need to be contacted immediately. And that's why if any of you have funds and you can't do this on your own and you have another job and you're running ads, you're wasting money. So get an ISA, an inside sales agent. Jacob and I have used this company before. They are amazing. We recommend that to many other agents, like our clients, to use who have some sort of funds, and they will call them every time an ad is in place and it's coming in. They will call them and book an appointment for you directly. And they are still a cold lead, but they nurture them for you until they book an appointment. They will call them as many times as 8 to 9 times until they get in contact with them in a very short amount of time. And trust me, I've had a single agent I've yet to meet who does that consistently, and because it is not easy unless it is your job. So anyways, I love to take questions, guys, because I know I want to be respectful of Melissa's time. I know that T, you asked a question. Melissa, she asked in the comment, I really like for you to touch on the teacher basket again. Was the basket for the teacher, the Google form, question mark?
Okay, so yes, the basket was for a teacher. It was just a regular basket that I got at a craft store. And then I just went to the grocery store and put a bunch of school supplies in it. I did a Facebook Live video. I told people about a drawing I was going to have. There's a website where you can do free raffles. It's like a raffle spin, and you enter the names in, and it puts the name on the wheel, and you click and it spins and it picks a person. So the basket, I think she referenced Google Forms. So I do have a virtual assistant out of the Philippines, and she does a lot of the admin work for me. And of course, this came later once I was making more money, able to have a hire. But if you're familiar with Google Forms, I think it's fairly easy, right, Jacob? I've never done one myself. Okay, maybe that's something you can talk to them about. But that Google form, it's a link, and I put the link on my personal Facebook closed groups that I created for myself. I have several Facebook groups that I post stuff in. So there's some groups in this community that I can post in and say, hey, I'm doing a raffle for a teacher. Do you know a teacher? I want to thank the educators in the area. Do you know a teacher? Do you think they would like to be in this drawing? And you can't say raffle on Facebook, but you can call it a giveaway. I have a giveaway for a teacher. And so it was a regular Facebook post. I took a picture of the basket. Click on this link to enter your favorite teacher, or if you're a teacher and you would like this basket for your class, click on this link. They click on the link, and on the Google link, it has your name, your school, the grade, and the area you're in. And then their name just went into that spinner that I did. I did a live giveaway on Facebook, and that's how I did it. You could do that still if you're whatever area you're in. I would do it now. Maybe you don't want to do a basket. Maybe you just want to give them a Target gift card. Or hey, teachers, school year's coming. I bet you're going to need your coffee. $15 giveaway, Starbucks. Yep, that's it right there.
And guys, when you're doing it, one thing she said, she did it live, like she had her camera on and say, hey guys, I'm going to do it live. And so there's that momentum and that excitement that you're building. So everything that you're doing, think about how could I publicize this? How could I share this with as many people as possible? So that's great. I hope that answered your question, T. And in Google Forms, folks, like anything you need help with that you're struggling with, that's what these calls are for. So, and remember, we do check-in calls. I'm happy to share my screen and walk you through how to build a Google form. You can put together a form, like it's super easy. You could do surveys. There's so many things you could do on SurveyMonkey, everything for free. And even the stuff that Melissa was talking about, the live-in manor, pool property of X amount of price under a particular, those are squeeze pages, folks. Those are landing pages. We can make them in KB Core. And better yet, think of anything you can make. Try your best to make it in KB Core because it's directly connected to your CRM. So there's no manual import, there's no Zapier, there's no other things you need to think about. That would be my recommendation. And like I said, when you get into that barrier, feel free to ask us. That's what we're here for as well. Any other questions for Melissa while we have her?
I did have an idea that just came to my mind as we're on this call that the agents could potentially use while someone's thinking of a question.
Yeah.
Is let's say you're trying to like plan out a budget for maybe warming up and getting some leads. Maybe you're involved in the church, or maybe you're involved in dance class with your kids, or maybe you your family, or you're really into law enforcement, community, or maybe you're firefighters. Maybe like maybe come up with a giveaway once a quarter, and maybe you become known as someone who supports the local police, or the local fire department, or the local women's shelter, or the local pet sanctuary, whatever. And maybe that's a giveaway that you do, right? And maybe it can be super cheap, like $10 or $20. Like, I just want to say thank you to the local fire department. I'm giving a $20 giveaway every quarter this year. So, and maybe you create that to get some leads in, and that's something that's super inexpensive. But just being in the community, or in the areas and the circles that you truly are passionate about, right?
Absolutely, that's a great idea. And
No, it's
guys,
great.
remember, those content are in Karubi. We literally have
Yeah.
templates of
Every
giveaway,
giveaway template.
every giveaway template. And honestly, giveaway, I think Jacob and I have done so many calls on this, and you guys know this. One of my favorite topic when it comes to social media content is giveaway, because you're making it about them. You're giving something away. People love to give their contact information for some sort of a freebie, and you're promoting another business and your community in the process. Great idea. I'm glad you brought that
Even
up.
in the template real quick, there's even, if you think about it, any of the giveaways that you've entered, it says like, hey, tag 3 people. I mean, that's the multiplier effect, not only to build your following, but to get more people involved in there. And I gave one agent this, like, you could take $100 a month and do a weekly giveaway. So everybody's checking it every week while you're giving away. And if it's $25 a week, you could do, a $15 gift card and 2 $5 gift card. It doesn't have to be just one person. So get real creative with it, but make sure you're using local businesses instead of chains, because those local businesses will promote you, and you're becoming front of mind with them, that you're promoting their business. They're going to share it, and they could even put, a sign up in their store that you can print out with the QR code to register for a gift card, because that keeps them coming back, and they statistically spend more with a gift card, because they can't always, especially if it's $5. But people like free stuff. It's crazy. My dad used to tell me as a kid, you take, if it's free. So, go in and do that.
And T, you have a question while you have your hands up. I don't know if it's to do with the same thing I'm about to show you. So the giveaway, folks, the templates are in Karubi, right? We are going to be reaching in Karubi because of all the stuff that's changes that are happening in Canada. But if you go to Content Depot templates, there's giveaway. There's a bunch of templates in here. And each of the templates have their own look and feel, and you can, and the best part is not even just the look, you can edit anything, but it's the copy, is the strategy, is the multiplier effect. And I've seen so many of my agents do it, and they've had success with it, and they've had contacts and people that notice them. And it's about even people in your own following that are following you. Is such a great way to tell people without asking for the business directly, which you should do as well. This is just an indirect way to get people to know that you're a realtor and that you're doing things. It's so great.
And
This
also
helps warm the lead up.
Yeah. Hi, I'm giving away money. Seriously, something super raw and basic, like nothing edited. Like, you have your templates, and then follow up with, hey, I don't know if you guys know this, but last week I posted something. I'm going to be giving away $10 to whatever, enter to win. Post, link and thing, make it
And
super
if
easy.
you're, and like Melissa said it perfectly, if you guys supporting a local business, or like a local community, or a charity, or something like a pet, or you're supporting something like women's shelter, something that you're passionate about, tell the story about why you're passionate. Talk about your pets, talk about your family, and that allows people into your brand, and that just amplifies. And honestly, anything you're doing, just think of like, how could I grow this? How could I do more of this? What is working? Because trust me, folks, the most common thing that I speak to all of you, and you know who you are, is what is not working. I'm I'm struggling with this, or I'm overwhelmed with this. We're constantly focused on that rather than the other way around. Is what has constantly been working for me all this time? What is actually sustaining my business? Can I do more of that? What is my
Oh, and when y'all
personality
get
that
that
people like the
lead,
most?
when those leads come in, y'all, like, I categorize them in a complete, like if I put them in a KV core, I put them in something completely different. I don't want them to get the spam stuff, right?
Yeah.
So they're actually just getting newsletters from me, right? Unless they're calling. And so just know, as those leads come in, if you do a giveaway in January, you may not even have an authentic conversation with them about real estate until maybe the third or fourth quarter, if they're going to be converted into a lead, an actual tangible lead where you get commission. So the communication style with those people is going to be different than someone who clicked on your ad about houses with swimming pools, right?
Right.
They're more authentic conversations. They're going to get the newsletters. I have two different newsletters that go out. One is like market stats, and the other one is just like things to do in the area. I include Manor, I include Austin. These are the events happening. Maybe they get those.
Mm.
And
How often did you
the
say?
newsletters are once a month.
Okay.
Yeah, once a month. And you can do them in KB Core, I believe.
Yep.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yep. Check
And
out my
you don't need to be like a writer or anything. Like most cities have like a website you can go to that it's called like a things to do thing, like things to do in. And then there's some cities that'll have the websites where it'll actually give you a calendar of things to do. Literally just copy paste all those things to do in the city. Like, in other words, the conversation you're making with people who click on a freebie is totally different, right? It's a nurture conversation, it's authentic conversation. But I do like what you said, Tharmila, about finding the passion of what you're interested in. Like, I don't know, like in our city, there's a big lake that runs through the city. Maybe you're a paddle boarder, right? Go to be a paddle
There
boarder.
you go.
Go be with the paddle boarder people.
Yeah, and
You
And
want
just
to be a
make
pet
content
shelter.
around that.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be
Yeah.
real estate related. People will follow you because they like that, like for me, I got into this sourdough mess, and now more people ask me about sourdough questions, and like, oh, you're a real estate agent, you have marketing. Like, how do you have time to do that? Well, it really only takes like a couple hours a week, and I can make 7 loaves. So like that fascinates. So you find your little niche based on who you are as a person, because people will connect with you. Because I mean, this is a big deal, buying a house. So you don't want some random stranger. And what I love too, that you say, Melissa, because you said in the beginning you wanted to be of service, the psyche of somebody, joining your giveaway, to promote a local business too. Like you're already starting the relationship, not as like a cold lead, but somebody that's giving something of literally monetary value. And in their mind, you've already gave them something, and just keeping that in the forefront of people's mind, that they don't think of you as a salesman or that pushy sales. It's actually kind of genius, honestly. It's like that psyche of sales. So, doing something like this as effective, plus you're going to stand out from other realtors. So if other realtors are running Facebook ads and doing all these things, and you're over here doing your thing that nobody else is doing, that's how you stand out. You're different. People kind of gravitate towards that kind of mentality too, and to help you stand out. And especially in a crowded market like Houston and Austin. I mean, Houston, I think we have 40,000 agents. Like
A lot.
it's a lot here. Yeah.
You guys, the reason why I came up with the coffee me is because I like to drink coffee. Because I knew I wasn't going to be like, I'm on the walking crew, the mom's walking crew, or the mom's buggy, with the kids. Like I was like, my kids are adults. Like, I'm at the time I like walking now, but back then I was like, I'm gonna go walking at 8 o'clock and talk to these people. And that was not authentic to me. I was like, what could I do that I like to do? Right. Because then it comes off super authentic. I was like, I like drinking coffee. I like breakfast tacos. I'm just going to be here every Friday from like 9 to 11, like literally 2 hours in my morning. Half the time I'm working. I just want y'all to know that for these coffee meets, sometimes it was me, my laptop, my coffee, and my taco, and I'm working. And then
Right.
sometimes it was 10 people. And sometimes it was the chief of police. And sometimes it was people on the city council. Like sometimes there's just nobody there, and sometimes there is, but the times that there were, I ended up getting a lady that would come every time. And she wasn't on the city council when she started when I started the meets, but now she is. And she gives me all the scoop. She's like, hey, there's a development going on. Did you know that? I'm like, no, Sandra, tell me more. I'd like to know more. just
Mm.
being in the, but just, yeah, finding things you like, just literally make it something you like to do.
It
And
only
dive in.
takes one person, you know, you don't know who you're going to meet that could refer you all of your business that has more influence. And
Mhm.
so the fact that police and city council people are coming up to see cool things happening in their area, that has its weight in gold right there. So
Absolutely. And I want to wrap up this call because I want to be respectful of your time, Melissa. And honestly, folks, the biggest takeaway for me is to keep everything super simple so that you actually do them. And even the newsletter, Melissa said, if you Google and look up things to do in Austin or Maynard, Texas, you could take that and now put that on social media and fine. Heck, don't even go to Canva and design anything. Grab a phone, like Melissa said. Hey guys, I just wanted to let you know this month, there are 4 things that are happening in your neighborhood that you need to know about. First is that summer market, blah, blah, blah. Here's the date. All the stuff is in the description, copy paste, and link it to that site. More information, go to that site. But you can even, if I were you, I would link it to a landing page to get their info that goes to their site so that you're not even letting people leave your platform. So anything you could think about, amplify it. Don't just do one research and put it in a newsletter that goes to 100 people. Heck, share it to the 1,000 people that are following you on social media. Share it everywhere because you did the work anyway. So just amplify as much as possible. Keep things simple. And it's okay to do a little bit of many things, but make sure it's all directly coming back to what you like doing so that you do more of it. But thank you, folks. Thanks for being here. Thanks for asking questions. Thank you, Melissa, for all of those amazing insights. You're
Yes.
amazing. Honestly, you truly are. Keep doing great work. I know I think you already capped, right? What's your anniversary or anniversary date? March?
March, yes, I capped last month. It usually takes me 2 to 3 months. It took me a little bit longer this time, but that's okay.
It's okay. Congrats.
Yeah.
This is powerful, amazing. I look forward to seeing you in person again. This was amazing. Thank you. Yes, everyone's saying thank you to you. And thanks,
Guys,
Jacob, as well for being here and asking questions as well. I'll
I
put
enjoyed
this
it.
in the recording where you can find it as usual in our community, in our learning tab where all the recordings go now. And you can go in and listen at any time. I'll see you, everybody. See you
Wait,
next
one more thing. I'm
Yes,
going to
that's fine.
challenge. I have a challenge for everybody. Go today, spend a little bit of time thinking about who your client is, who you want to talk
yes,
to, who that person is, who is your ideal client.
Love it.
Once you find
love
that
it.
out, work everything else around that. Bye, guys.
Right. Hey, I want to add one thing too for those for next week. So next week's our check-in call. And since we're redoing all of our calls, this is a perfect time to come. This isn't just for new people that are trying to figure out eXp or, oh, I don't have a question this week, so I don't need to go. This is a perfect time to come and take what you learned this week and come ask us questions like, hey, I tried to do that thing Melissa did, but I can't remember, or I'm having a problem with the Google form. That is your time to have Tharmila and I attack our brains and ask us questions, have us share the screens and make it like a workshop to implement the things that you've learned from the weeks before. So I think more people will find even more value in those. So come if you can, because I can see you guys implementing and taking these things to the next level. So see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.